I met a gypsy.
Maybe Supercross didn't have that. It just didn't. It was more of a stadium filler. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily, because the UFC, they're not going to huge stadiums. So the gates are, I guess nowadays they're doing like $20 million gates, but it wasn't just about the gate. It was so about pay-per-view and TV and global TV
And I
audience.
think that's where our promoters missed it.
That's what,
That's
it's
where
not
I
as
think
aggressive.
Our promoters missed it because they were passionate about our sport and they were producing racing, missing the marketing side of our sport. How aggro, how aggressive, how manly, how gnarly this sport, and that's what UFC is, right?
Yeah,
gnarly,
it taps into
aggro,
that like primal kind of
primal.
Yeah.
There it is, and this is a primal sport. But I think we lost that, and Feld has done an amazing job. So I don't want to sound like
for sure.
We would not be where we are today without Feld, first of all. And Kenneth has done an amazing job.
And working with those guys over the last couple of years this year here, they all really care. And they're all really trying, for sure.
And I know they're pushing the envelope. They really are. With this SMX stuff and how everybody's come together, we've had a fragmented sport for 30 years.
That's also very true, yeah.
I look at it like, remember when kart and IRL, when it was kart, which is now IndyCar racing, that was the be-all, end-all of racing here in the United States. NASCAR was a pimple on an elephant's rear end.
Really?
And when kart, and I may screw up some of the history on this, but it was kart IndyCar racing, and there was that separation with Indy Speedway, which I think the George family owned, and they had that separation because Indy was the crown jewel of the series. And then they wanted to break that out and start a separate series. So you had a sport that became two series.
Yeah,
it was kart and then IndyCar. Now it's finally become IndyCar, but because of all that, it became fragmented.
And you just lose
NASCAR
the momentum.
capitalized on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And forever, it's been the dominant motorsport here in the United States for the last 30 years, in my opinion, because of that split that they had in it. And so we've had our own split because you got Supercross.
Yeah.
Your promoters Feld.
Yep.
You have the Outdoor Nationals with AMA Pro Racing.
Yep.
And you have 12, 11 track owners with 11 different opinions. So it was cool when MX Sports was able to bring the tracks together at the outdoor side to be, one conglomerate, so to speak, with one voice. But then you still had Feld doing their thing, Motocross doing their thing, Motocross with their sponsors, Supercross with their sponsors. 2-race format, 1-race format, qualifiers. Explain to me, if you're not a fan, how a guy like you and I can educate someone in 15 minutes without confusing the hell out of them.
Oh, mate, my wife had to go to all fucking first half of the season to get on the program to know what was going on.
Dude, I've been preaching this for years. I was like, I'm the guy bringing the corporate sponsors out to the suites and introducing them to this sport and telling them why their brand should be here, and you get them there, and then like, okay, and you're trying to explain the racing to them, and you're like, you got a CMO going, bro, man, if I can't understand this, how am I going to get our clients to understand this?
Mm-hmm.
And people aren't willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
As a CMO, SVP of marketing, no one's going to walk the plank and take that risk for the CEO to say, whose idea was this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're just not going to do it.
That's such a clean explanation.
I'm like, I've lived it all the time, and I keep trying to figure out, how do I simplify this? How do I make this easier for them to understand? Because the hospitality in the stadiums is great. Like, you get this corporate experience. When we're chasing the brands that we're chasing to bring into our sport, everybody's talking about the outside money, right? So how are you going to say, hey, Mr. XYZ brand, I think you should be over here at Supercross Motocross instead of NFL or NBA? And they're like, well, we get this experience. The team's going to activate us. We're going to be integrated into their marketing. There's going to be ticket sales promotions. We're going to get hospitality. They're going to include us at retail. We're not doing any of that over here.
Mm-hmm.
Our promoters just want a logo on a banner or on the backdrop and call it a day. And it's like, guys, that's not working in 2024 anymore.
Dude, man, we have fucking good sponsors. Like, we're very we're lucky, but we grind for our sponsors, and the amount of shit we give our sponsors, the amount of work we have to do. Like the equivalent for us is it's not a sticker on the bike. It would be just like a mention on the show. It's like, nah, that ain't doing it. Like you have to go so hard and you have to really work because, man, we're also competing with Facebook, Instagram. Like I know companies, I have friends that own companies, right? They'll spend $1 million a month on Facebook ads. $1 million a month. Why?
What's the return? That's a trackable return on investment,
$4 million
right?
return.
It's
and
like,
then,
hey, if I can spend $1 million and get $2 million back,
yeah,
I'll take loans to do that, right?
They do until they don't need to, and then they just keep feeding the machine. So like we're in competition. That the competition for these ad dollars and these sponsorship dollars is just so heavy that you really need to provide people with an experience. And like you walk through an F1 pit and you see like the Don Julio or the Mercedes corporate experience, and it's just like fucking mind blowing. You know, it's like you really do need to fight and create.
And you're fighting with the athletes now because the athletes have become their own brands. They've become their own media platforms now.
Yeah.
We're doing as much business as an agency on daily, one-off social posts.
Huh.
Like our athletes are influencers.
Yeah.
And brands come to us not to sponsor them, but hey, we want 2 or 3 posts as proof of concept.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a bigger package. But now the athletes really, truly have their own voice. And if you're a young athlete coming up, it's not just about the racing. Like every single deck, every single outside sponsor we talk to wants to know more about every athlete. What's their social platform, what their engagement percentage is, the followers, the impressions, and then they do deep dives. Then they go down the rabbit holes and start seeing what you're posting.
Yeah.
You know, and what you're saying. Are you saying the right things? Where are your alignments at? And so you as a podcast, you're competing against every single athlete in this sport for ad dollars, as well as the teams, as well as the promoters. We're all competing against each other. Yeah. And it's like, what separates you from the rest?
Yeah.
And every brand's marketing goal and objectives is different. You know, and I'm sitting down talking to them like, guys, I can give you an incredible proposal. Like I can nail all these things. I said, but I need to know your marketing goals and objectives. What are your 3 most important things that you're trying to reach as a brand, and let me come back to you with solutions to your goals with this sport and why I think it would work and why I think it will move the needle. And by the way, look at these social numbers that will help back it up in that process.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening is now the athletes are their own media channels. Yeah. You know, you look at like Buttery, for example, you know,
for
Axel.
Real. Yeah.
For example, like they're crushing it with their social. They become household brands with their names because of social. And you're competing for those ad dollars. Yeah. Just like Feld is or the Outdoor Nationals are.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so true. And you have to offer something very real and very, very tangible, you know what I mean? Because it's just, the competition. And again, there's not just in our industry, but it's like when you've got these companies, like we have AG1. They've been a sponsor of us for the last couple of years, right? Right. They spend fucking millions and millions of dollars on Facebook and Instagram ads as well. You know, so it's like it is a crazy hard landscape. But I think there obviously is so much value in like partnering with a sport, having those real world experiences, and also like even just providing like a Toyota, right? They come into the sport, like bringing dealers in and having it as like actual corporate experiences for like the high level people at Toyota, or dealerships that have like top sales agents in the country and top service agents. Like there's so many layers at which you can like make deals work these days.
Yep. It's just a matter of getting that intel in front of the right people, and then you get them excited, and then you bring them out to a race.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to explain their sport to them, and they're like, you can see how you're losing them. You can just see their processing. You're like, okay, so we're gonna have practice in the morning, and it's time trials, but the first one's free. Well, what does free mean? Well, free means you just get to go out and ride, but then you're gonna come out an hour later, and you're gonna have a time session, and you're gonna another one after that, and it's your best time between the two, and that's gonna determine where you start on the gate. And then you're gonna run this race, and they're gonna take the top 9, and if you're part of the top 9, you go to this final race. But if you're not part of the top 9, you get this last chance to try to qualify, and they take the top 4 of that, but it's a quick sprint race. And then that guy's going to go right to the final, and you got 22 guys in this final, and they're going to race for 15 minutes plus 2 laps. Try to tell someone that's never been to a race.
Oh, this guy, he's a plumber, he's an electrician. They're not. Oh, so they're not real races? No. Like they're real races, but they don't really get paid to race. Like,
but these 5 guys do.
These guys are good.
And these are getting what kind of money? Well, they're getting this.
Yeah.
Well, how come the other guys only get this and they're not getting it? Then the ultimate, what's the purse money?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, it's this. And they're like, really? There's 60,000 people in this stadium. I'm looking at all these sponsor banners. I'm looking at all this merch being sold. And I'm like, well, it's expensive. You got the venue, you got rights fees, you got TV broadcast. It all adds up. And then they're like, yeah, but you got these invitational races at the end of the year that pay $1 million, and it's a smaller crowd than here. And they're asking me this. And I'm like, this is John Q, CMO.
Yeah.
Drilling down on these questions. And they're like, you've been in sport for 30 years, but you don't know the answers to all this? And I'm like, well, we're evolving. We're evolving as a sport. But it's the best kept secret in sports marketing. Trust me.
Yeah.
It really is. If you want the male 18 to 34 demographic, this is where you need to be. And I truly, wholeheartedly believe that is where the cutting edge 18 to 34-year-old males reside and are watching and consuming content. It's here.
Yeah.
They're consuming as much, if not more, than the NFL.
Yeah. And it's quite a high earning demographic.
Yes.
Which
it's
is
a very
another thing.
affluent.
Yeah.
It's a very affluent demographic, and they're like,
well, and it's a lot of guys like I can definitely speak on this in terms of like I'm very active in like talking to our community. It's like a lot of dudes that own their own businesses, a lot of guys that they work in construction, they're carpenters, they're electricians, they got their own businesses, they're concreters, they're fucking asphalt
just
guys.
look in the pit, not the pits, but look in that
that
parking lot.
Yeah,
is what we tell people. It's like, guys, go to a Supercross as a brand and walk the parking lot.
Yeah,
it is
our
version of NFL
yeah.
or college tailgate football party. That's our version of it that takes place 31 times a year. And guys, look at the vehicles these people are driving. Like these are $70,000 to $100,000 pickup trucks, right? Everyone's got a camper tied to the back. Oh, they typically own 3 to 4 dirt bikes. Oh, at an average price of $10,000. So let's just do some simple math. You got to own a $100,000 truck, $30,000, $40,000 trailer. You got a couple toys, $10,000 to $15,000 a piece. You got your gear. You're paying for race gas. Your track fee's $25. You got to drive an hour to get to the track. That's another $100 of driving.
Yeah. And
so those are people with money.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.